point.
Well, so you you came in an immigrant family,
Yeah.
right? I think it was Oklahoma City, or was it? It's somewhere
Yeah,
in
it's
there,
a
but
smaller town, not that small these days, but
yeah,
that's outside of Oklahoma City called
Oklahoma City.
Edmond.
Yeah, yeah,
And we landed in 1989.
yeah, yeah.
And before that, it's funny, I just visited the what used to be the refugee holding space
Wow.
it outside of Rome. And like a week ago we
Mm,
went, and
mm, mm,
it was a really fascinating experience to just go see it again.
mm.
And but we before that, of course, we were refugees from Iran, where I was born, and where my mom sort of converted from Islam to Christianity,
Right, right.
which was sort of
Yeah.
the impetus for all of our
So,
our
so
sort
I,
of
I, I have your books here.
yeah.
Of course,
Ah,
this one's and this one I
thank
didn't
you.
know about, so I was happy to. And this one,
All
both of
right.
these have gotten quite a bit of accolades, you. I remember you telling me that you were writing this novel on your iPhone.
Yes.
This was around that time.
Yeah. That was a collection that
Okay.
I've ended up publishing. It was called Straw House, Wood House, Brick House,
Oh,
Blow.
that's right. That's right. I
Yeah,
remember
and
that. Yeah.
I wrote, and actually you were kind enough. This was my first book I ever published on my own. You sort of have been a milestone in several places, but one was when that book was coming out, I had been given a fairly modest sum for the what they call the advance for the book. This
Hmm,
was like
hmm.
I'm a
Yeah.
nobody who's doing a collection, which I could tell you now in retrospect. Um, Collections are not for nobodies. They're like the kind of like
Yeah.
victory lap
Right.
for the
Oh, that's
successful
funny.
writer.
Yeah.
But I did not know that, and so we had basically kind of like spent that entire sum on trying to drum up excitement, and we ended up finding I think 11 artist painters who were Johnny Hendricks, who you will remember
Oh,
was one of them.
yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, we anyway, who did sort of paintings of the book, and it was and the launch of the book and the gallery show was at the
Space
space
38,
at the IM
39.
space.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that was my first like book launch. And yes, I wrote it
That's
on the
right.
early
Okay,
days of
now
my
the dots are
iPhone.
starting to connect a little bit, because I also remember um, the fun time we had, the thing called Fridays.
That's right. Oh, of
I
course.
don't know if that was your idea or somebody came up with this idea.
So
Just
get
get
we
just get a frying pan, right? We had a kitchen, so
we had
yeah,
three like fryers.
yeah.
And yeah,
That's
my
right.
I never experienced any like these parties are so funny because they've become legendary. And my job was I was in the back. I was like because I
Yeah,
was
I remember that.
my I was the cook and I loved it. But the whole premise for people who don't know about it is we used to call it the Friday. And anyone could come, and
Yeah,
your cover charge, so to speak, was you had to bring something
something.
that we could fry for everybody. It's like a you bring it, we fry it
Yeah.
concept. And it's in this gorgeous art gallery, which, is full of like high-end art, beautiful space. But then in the back kitchen, we've got these three fryers. And the reason we have three fryers, of course, is some people bring fish. And
Yes.
so, and so, and so we had different batters. We had beer batter, we had panko crust, we had pancake for like some people would the one I remember that truly hurt I think like my health it's still suffering was they brought Cadbury cream eggs and we fried them in pancake batter and then hit them with powdered sugar and I took a bite of that and I still
Oh.
like my teeth are still chattering. Yeah. But yeah,
Yes.
we fried everything like Snickers bars and someone was really clever. I remember one time someone was so kind. He just came up to me and handed me a sweet potato. I was like, God bless you. We can all
Something else.
something where I was just like, I could fry this. This will be great.
Yeah.
So that was, but all kinds of people would come. Alex,
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
really sort of organized it as my wife, and she was in the
Yeah.
fashion world.
Yeah.
And so all these like fashion people would show up, and then the
Yes.
arts people would show
Yeah.
up, and
Yeah.
book people. It was
Yeah.
really a good time.
And
Wow.
I mean, we reminisce and laugh about this, but that's really part of culture care. That
Yeah.
the community humor, right, and
Yeah.
craziness of it all. But we are used to our world. I don't know how it is in literature, especially young lit, but it's hard to find places where you can laugh together and you can
Yes.
you know be filled with just gratuitous joy. you know?
Yeah.
And that I felt even when we were meeting near Ground Zero. When you get together, yes, you carry so much into the place, and as artists, God knows we have so much to concerns and worries. But cultural care is a place where I think we can be kind of like children again. We can do
Yeah.
things, imagine things, right? And that kind of triggers this creative momentum, right?
Hmm.
For
Hmm.
anybody who's in the room or even associated loosely with us, that they we hope that would open up something, right? And in
Hmm.
people. Yeah. So
Yeah,
so
I think it really you have to push back against the notion that only that art can only come out of devastation, right? Like
yeah.
I think the playful impulse is something that I don't even think is alien to any artist. I think that is where some of this is coming from.
Yeah.
And so yeah, to kind of use our creativity to build these moments and spaces of playfulness, frivolity. As you said, I love
Hmm.
the,
Hmm.
your phrase of sort of just like, overwhelming joy. I think that is, what's the right way to put it? I think that is a generosity that we can give to
Hmm.
each other because
Hmm.
the person who goes back from that kind of event or at least is just feels whatever they walk in and there is just this abundance of joy and
Yeah.
come have a
Yeah.
fried Snickers bar with me
Yes.
and but we'll also talk about the brilliant art on the wall, but we'll
Right.
also,
Yeah.
discuss whatever it might be.
Yeah.
I think that is a more a stronger catalyst, to use that
I
kind of
think
word,
so. Yeah.
than simply kind of going deeper and deeper into one idea, or you're sitting with them and trying really hard to kind of like wrestle, and those are all good, have their
Hmm.
places.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
just mean to say, what can we give each other, right? Like,
Right.
I'm not going to be able to take your
Right.
hand and take it across a can. It's not going to happen. You're not going to do
Right.
the same. So often as artists, we try to sit with them and be a part of their process, as
Hmm.
opposed to just nourishing the other aspects of
Yeah.
their person and
Right.
then letting them handle the process. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah. And
Um,
I mean, you grew up in very difficult,
mm,
challenging circumstance. I mean, your story, everything said is untrue.
yeah.
And all of your books actually has an element of serious trauma, right?
Yeah.
Uh, and
Sure do.
and yet, I'm reading these, and there's just such humor in them. And
Yeah.
I picked up a passage, if it's okay. I just want to read this
Sure.
one passage and have you respond. And this is from Everything Sounded Untrue, and and this is describing this Mrs. Miller's class.
Okay.
And you say in the short paragraph, in Dustin land, the
Mhm.
mythical age, I'm sorry, mythical age, my great, 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 great grandfather was a doctor. Nobody in Mrs. Miller's class had trouble believing this because doctors aren't all that special anyway. It wasn't like I said he was a beat maker.
Oh,
And I'm just laughing. All sorts of conflations going on in a young mind. Um, the voice is, to me, having teenagers, is very accurate, and very specific, and has this not only a sense of particularity to them, but he also managed to bring in this alienation, right,
Mhm.
of the child being from being in exile, basically,
Yeah.
right? And yet there is something profoundly true and beautiful about this voice. So
Oh,
tell me about, how you came up with, and maybe you can also
yeah.
talk about why you chose young adult as a
Sure.
genre.
Sure. Yeah. Well, so actually, when I was right after every Straw House,
Hmm.
so going back to that moment, we did through that. I was thinking that this would be an adult novel. So I was, because
Right.
I mean,
Wonder.
as you said, like it has a lot of intense situations,
Yeah.
right? We were
Yeah.
we were
Yeah.
refugees. My mother was interrogated by the secret police.
Hmm.
There's a lot of folks who were making a lot of bad decisions,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
so in my
Yeah.
head, I was like, "There's no chance." I hadn't really written for children, or I had, but I hadn't written it for this young,
Hmm.
and so I thought, golly, let me write it the way I would as if I
Yeah.
was writing a memoir
Hmm.
in, and so, and I did, and over again, it had two major problems. One
Hmm.
was that it it really spoke to the fascinations of adults,
Hmm.
which, if you're from Iran and you're writing
Hmm.
a story about modern era, which this was like 1970s Iran,
Hmm.
1980s
Hmm.
Iran,
Hmm.
um, adults really want to talk about and think about the like geopolitical nature of
Hmm.
this
Hmm.
conversation, right? The
Hmm.
Iran,
Hmm.
like the hostage crisis, of course,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
revolution. I
Yeah.
mean, the Iranian-American relationship, as we know,
Yeah.
very fraught. And
Hmm.
it was impossible to go out from under that for this
Yeah.
narrative that's really
Yeah.
supposed to be very specific.
Hmm.
But I couldn't, I was writing page after page about the Ayatollah and his how he
Hmm.
came to power. So one, the adult fascination with like the
Hmm.
broader history
Hmm.
really was
Hmm.
kind of controlling the narrative.
Hmm.
And the other was that, I mean, to put it bluntly, like I had gotten over a lot of this stuff. Like I was
Yeah.
an adult,
Yeah.
and so much of
Yeah.
the work of an adult, especially if as you meet other, as you want to have a relationship and as you want to
Hmm.
have children,
Hmm.
right? You need to
Hmm.
like get control over what I think of as your automatic responses, like your
Yes.
trauma responses.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
you're not allowed to look. I mean, you can, but it would
Yeah.
make you a pretty bad parent if you're screaming in the
Right.
face of a 2-year-old because they've like triggered
Yes.
some trauma. You need to work on these
Yeah.
things, and
Yeah.
so much of adulthood is surviving childhood.
Yeah.
And so a lot of what I was writing about, like I'm writing a scene about my child self leaving a stuffed animal behind, and
Hmm.
it was bloodless. It was sort
Hmm.
of a very, I was writing about it, and I was trying to do a
Hmm.
good job from a craft perspective, but from an
Hmm.
emotional perspective, it wasn't
Hmm.
there. And so
Hmm.
I was whining to a friend of mine, and she just said, you got to write it from the perspective of the time when this stuff really mattered.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I said,
Yeah.
okay.
Wow.
I didn't change much, but what I absolutely changed. I mean, I didn't change the offense, obviously, but what I changed was this perspective. Now he's 12,
Yeah.
and now it's dawning on him as he's writing this that,
Hmm.
oh, I didn't abandon the stuffed animal. My dad was saying goodbye to me in that scene. Like
Hmm.
these are realizations you have when you're 12.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all of a
Wow.
sudden, the emotion of that is much more immediate. And so I think it became just a natural and obvious decision once and at that moment, a 12-year-old doesn't care what the
Hmm.
history of
Hmm. Hmm.
Iran-American relations
Hmm.
is. They care about
Hmm.
barbecue and their like relationship with the guy who's being mean
Yes.
to him at the barbecue instead of, um, hey, we had a hostage crisis or something. And
Yes.
so, that was kind of that kind of answers several of those thoughts about
Hmm.
why why the sort of the age range. In terms of then the voice, I mean, at 12, there's this once I went down into that age range, I also was able to find the humor of it all.
Hmm.
Because
Hmm.
if you walk into a place where, refugees are, or a place that has a particular poverty that maybe you are not used to or haven't seen, like
Hmm.
one of the things that can over and over again you will hear from people who do that is they're not used to how much laughter they're hearing. Like they sort of think that, yeah, and it may be just like an impromptu game of soccer that they're hearing, but
Yeah.
like our conception is, well, it's got to be in black and white, and there has to be like mourning, you know, happening aloud,
Hmm.
and that's just not the case. Yeah,
Yeah.
I really firmly believe you could go into, these moments in history when we really are saw suffering and know
Mhm.
of suffering, and I think it does not reduce the suffering to note that
Right.
over the course of a day, there's still a lot of laughter.
Yes.
In fact, that
Yeah.
is the coping. So you might
Yes.
be surprised by how much,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
all the more coping is required, right?
Yes. Yes. That's
And
so true.
so this is when people will go to the favelas of Brazil and be like, it was the greatest party I ever went to. And you're like,
Hmm.
yeah, I know.
Hmm. Hmm.
There is as much of a release of joy as there is,
Yeah.
in maybe in direct proportion to pain. And so I
Yeah.
think that was something that was surprising as I was writing it
Yeah.
in the younger register, and
Hmm.
I wanted to lean into, because I
Yeah.
do think that that is the right approach.
So it sounds like the genre picked two, and the voice,
Yeah.
the character directed it.
Yes.
Yeah. That's
Well,
beautiful.
and he's also able to be, there's a thing that happens, this is more like, I don't know if you do this for yourself, but
Hmm.
I sort of I think of myself as like, anytime I'm doing a project, like, okay, what are the big ambitions here? Like, what are the
Uh-huh.
things that I can like sink my teeth into as like, what if an artist could achieve?
Ah,
And in this one, I was really trying to think of like, could you tell a compelling and cogent sort of story with a character who is the worst possible narrator on earth, right? Like, here's this 12-year-old who he's like hiding things from you. He's
yeah.
nervous. As you said, like his mind is
Yeah.
scattershot. He's
Yeah.
12. He's
Yeah.
like, he's
Yeah.
just not the perfect narrator for this. You're
Uh,
reading, I saw in your newsletter, are you still reading Moby Dick, the greatest novel of all time?
yes,
I
Jacob is.
adore
Yeah.
it. Oh, okay. Oh, Jacob.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I didn't know who was in his reading group. It's, that's a perfect example of like,
Yeah.
golly, Ishmael is like the perfect choice. Like, someone put the greatest narrator on earth on
Yeah.
this ship. It was like,
Yeah.
it's like, putting the film crew for the National Geographic right on
Yeah.
the exact right
Yeah.
place. Like, he was the perfect recorder
Yeah.
of these events.
Yeah.
This is the opposite.
This
This
is the
young
opposite.
man,
Yeah.
yeah, he doesn't even know how chapter breaks work.